Hello, everyone. I am experiencing a little bit of technical challenges here. I appreciate you tuning in to Money is a Mirror. I'm so excited to have Sabrina Jonnson and Tiffany Williams-Parra here with me to discuss and unpack possible blocks for your abundance. But before we begin, I just want to bring up something that I is new and also true to my heart, and that is the Tomo tour. And so I'm going to share this the best of my ability. Here we go. Yes. So this is something that I have been planning for a very long time. For those of you who know me, I am a Reiki master and really loved living in Japan for 10 years. And I always thought I would go back, but I didn't know when. So it's happening. It's happening in December. In October 1st through the 10th. I am hosting a Tomo tour. So, Tomo in Japanese means friend. And so, I'm taking my American friends over to Japan to meet my Japanese friends and not just bridging, right, friendship across the globe, but we're also intermixing culturally, getting to know the people, getting into the landscape, really, and just immersing ourselves in this beautiful land that I call my second home. I so loved living in Japan. And I had a spiritual experience when I did an overnight climb on Mount Fuji. And so I climbed up to the top of the summit of the mountain, and there's a torii gate at the top. And as I watched the sunrise come up through the torii gate, it was as if time just stood still and I could just hear a pin drop. It was just like amazing. And I felt a more of an awakening happen within me at that time. And I know that's when I truly connected to the spirit of the land. So we will not be climbing Mount Fuji, although we will take a trek up Mount Kurama, which is the birthplace of Reiki, which is a Japanese technique. It's a healing modality to support the mind, body, and spirit. This Tomo tour is open to anyone who is curious, who wants to maybe have had a calling to go to Japan and just haven't had the opportunity to do so. And I'm going to be your personal tour guide, right? So as we're going to the shrines and temples, as we're exploring the different parts of the city of Tokyo and Kyoto, as you can see in this background here, we're going to have some amazing experiences together. And it is mostly all inclusive. You got to get there, right? Get your airfare. And everything is on my website. So you can see the QR code up in the upper right-hand corner. Take a snapshot of that, get some more information. And I definitely have some wonderful surprises and bonuses for my guests who are willing to say yes, who want more to explore in their lives, because that's when we receive more abundance, as we're going to be talking about money as a mirror, right? When we are in those spaces, different locations, right? We're able to be more curious. We're able to really have a playful sense of ourselves. And that's when we open up for more in our lives. So come with me to the Tomo tour and experience more in your life. So I'm going to start bringing up our amazing guests here. And we have Sabrina. Welcome, Sabrina.
Hi.
Hey, there she is. She's magically appearing. And we also have the amazing Tiffany as well.
Hi.
Hello, ladies. It's so lovely to have you here with me today. How are you doing?
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic. Fantastic. Look, just happy to be here.
It's a beautiful day, and I just appreciate you having me so much.
Goodness.
Yes, we are so excited to have this conversation. And in the audience already is Lisa Feverek. Hello, Lisa. Thank you for tuning in with us. So excited to have you here with us,
And
my friend. And please put any questions you might have in the comments too, maybe about relationships, money blocks, and with Lisa's expertise with menopause, maybe Lisa, what have you noticed about abundance flowing more with women and men's life, as they tune into that part of themselves? So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to just allow each of you to share who you are and how you are working with your clients with those blocks and relationships. How about Sabrina? How about you go ahead and go first and share a little bit about yourself? So I'm bringing you over here, but StreamYard it's having a day today. At least with me, it's having a lot of fun with me today. So go ahead and share you, Sabrina, and I'll do my best to bring you over the best I can.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know what you mean. StreamYard is so fun to work with
It
sometimes because it
is.
doesn't out. um, but I'm Sabrina. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and mindset mentor. I also have a spiritual community that I've got going. It's called Soul Sync Collective. So I do lots of fun things with spirituality and just trying to merge business with spirituality as well so that people, they can navigate life as easy as possible. But in terms of hypnotherapy, it is all about releasing subconscious blocks. Everybody has those limiting beliefs, those fears, those anxieties that we've just really formed since early childhood. Those seem to be the blocks that stick with us the most, is the ones that we've formed at such a young age. And a lot of these blocks will stem from your living situation, your environment, what you're learning through that environment, and of course, the experiences that you have growing up. So there's many fun blocks we can go through when it comes to money. I can't wait to dig in a little bit more with you there.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we need to have that understanding about how our subconscious is actually working, and whether it is for us or against us, it's always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I can share a little bit about that. I mean, the subconscious is when you think of what your fight or flight system is, that's your subconscious. It tells us how to react based on the programming that we've received. And so that's going to show up in different situations differently, just depending again on what it is that you're fearful of, what it is that you may be guilty of. A lot of us carry guilt, and shame are some of the main ones that we carry through life. And so, yeah, that subconscious is not trying to hurt you. It's just trying to keep you safe in the best way that it's learned throughout life.
Oh, yes, for sure. I completely agree with that. I've had to work through some things, and we're continuing to work through things. And I know that Tiffany has some great um, fiery experiences to share with us. So please share a little bit about yourself and how you can help people,
Absolutely. Thank
Tiffany.
you so much. So, yes, so Tiffany Williams-Parra, I am CEO of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics, and I call myself the Phoenix because I have been in those ashes of life and really had to, dig very deep into that subconscious and be able to tackle some of those self-limiting beliefs that others had, kind of put there, and even myself put there. And that's really what I do is I really have been able to help people release. I don't say lose, release weight. I myself released almost 120 pounds, which can be very,
Wow.
very tough, and that was, through really getting in touch and in tune with myself and just what makes me tick, what I like, what I don't like, and everything in between, and just really figuring out serves me what serves me, because we're always, what serves that person, especially us as those servant hearts out there. We're always trying to serve everyone else, and sometimes you have to dig into yourself and serve yourself. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm looking forward to digging into this, just these blocks, because there have been so many blocks, and there's still blocks at times. We are definitely growing all the time, and there's definitely some blocks that still come up every once in a while, where I need to contact people like Sabrina to help me to, get through some of those things as well. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. So thank you so much, April.
Oh, for sure. Yes. And that's the challenge that we have is we know what we want, yet things tend to get in the way, right? And it's really our own stuff that gets in the way without us even realizing it. And so this is why I love talking about this. Money is a mirror, right? What kind of reflections are we even reflecting for our own selves? What is it that in our subconscious or even in our own thoughts, our own thinking patterns kind of gets us muddled, right? I am a firm believer in the power of thought, of manifesting. I know, Tiffany, you just didn't sit on the couch and go, I want this 100 pounds to go away. And then all of a sudden, poof, it went away, right? I'm sure it took a lot of dedication, a lot of focus, a lot of mental, chatter and the action. And also, I believe the emotion, the inspiration, what is that driving us to be able to change, to be able to shift. That, I believe, is the true key with that, is connecting that emotion to what it is that we are wanting in a positive way, the best we can. Now, there's going to be some muddled things, as I said, as we look in the mirror. We don't want to look in the mirror, right? There's some apprehension of being vulnerable, of taking responsibility of where we're at right now. But where we're at right now isn't the end result. That's what our minds love to tell us. Like, look at you. I don't know what people are thinking, you're a loser, or you don't have enough money, or this is not who I want to be. This is not what I envision myself to become. And then we get really down on ourselves. So by being able to choose to shift the script, I'd say, right? How do we get there? And I'm going to ask Sabrina first, since Tiffany, you just went. How do you guide your clients to get there into that space to where they can be more present as they are looking in the mirror, so to speak, to shift, to be able to maybe witness that there is more to them? How do you get them to that space?
Very gently, very supportively. I encourage them as much as I possibly can to open up about what they're going through, what their situation is like, what they've experienced in the past. Because when you combine all of these experiences together, that's when you really start to see, well, what are the real underlying fears that is stopping this person from moving forward? Because it is usually something that manifests as a fear. And so I help them by supporting them through that process and really questioning them so that they can start to see, well, what is it that I really need to pay attention to? What are the thoughts that are most important that are affecting me today? What are some of the actions that I can take to help myself and support myself to open up? So it's really just a process of guiding them through that. so that they become more self-aware. And I can even do hypnotherapy for self-awareness to help them to open up and to release some of that vulnerability. So there's many ways
Yeah,
I can do it.
can you just, for people who aren't familiar with hypnotherapy, or maybe they think, the old, movies or something of some weird guy going, watch this. Yes, exactly. Can you just walk us through what would that look like, actually?
Yes. So what a lot of people don't realize is that hypnotherapy is a deep state of relaxation to the point of where you're in a trance. It's a beta state. So you're in between beta and theta brain waves, which is your relaxed state and your dream state. It's the stage just in between. And people, whether they know it or not, they go through a trance state at any given point in their day, which is similar to hypnotherapy. So if you think of a TV show or a topic that you're really, really listening intently to because you want to hear it, and all of a sudden the noises around you get drowned out, you no longer hear them, and all you hear is the person that you're listening to and that you're watching. So you're in that trance state, which is the suggestive phase. It's where we're able to reach in and rewire those beliefs, those subconscious blocks that you have. I hope that helps. Is that, do you need a little bit more there?
No, I think that is perfect. It's perfect. And then when people meet with you, also they can, you can unpack it a little bit more. But I appreciate you giving us a little window into that, into working with the subconscious beliefs. Because people are just doing. They're jumping through the hoops. They're ticking off the boxes, and they're wondering what's still wrong. How come I'm doing all the things? I took this course, I've paid this money, and yet I'm still feeling depleted. And so, Tiffany, can you maybe unpack that for our viewers and listeners about what that is of the doing of we think we're doing all the right things, and yet still we're not receiving what we're putting in.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think we tend to get caught up in that hamster wheel, right, of life, and sometimes we're just on autopilot, right? And you really it with what I deal with my clients, and even for myself, I'll kind of share with you just kind of my journey. With my journey, I was in human resources and was really just in this mode all the time. Anything that would come to my desk, sometimes I wouldn't even remember going to the restroom in a day until I would get up and leave the office. And the things that I would be putting in my body would be whatever someone would kindly bring to my desk. Sometimes it would be something kind of good. Sometimes it would, most of the time it would be something not so good. And when you just get stuck in that, you'll end up having signs in your body telling you it's time for you to do something for yourself, but you just don't because you're in that autopilot until it's too late. And that's what happened to me. I was at a routine doctor's check, and make sure that you are doing those every single year. I cannot say that enough to people, because especially as we get older, we start worrying about everything else and we're not taking care of our, selves and going to the doctors. So I went to the routine doctor's check, and all of my numbers were all out of whack. Everything. My A1C, if you know about A1C, my A1C was 9.7. I thought I was doing the right things because, again, I wasn't feeling like I had anything wrong. And yes, I was gaining the weight, but I didn't see it because I wasn't paying attention. I was just, putting on the clothes. And if I'd get a little bit bigger, I'd just go to the, store and just get that, until that day. And that day made me stop and made me go within. And I had to start to find a love for myself. And when I found that love for myself, that changed everything. That autopilot that I was on had to just switch to healthier habits. And I did have to definitely break a lot of chains in that, because I had been programmed to just, you just go, you just work, you do your job, eat when you can. No, you have to care about self first before, and that's where people get stuck. They're not really caring about, about them. So, in my journey, I started writing down all the things that I was eating, and I started writing down the feelings that I was having. I had a book for
Mm.
feelings, like just a brain dump. And then I had a book for everything that I was putting into my body that day, and I was honest about it. You got to be honest about it. And then when I would sit down, I would look and I would see, oh, wow, I was having all these employee issues. I was fighting with my boyfriend. I was having issues with maybe my son, and my eating was completely off the charts. When I was having a good day, when I was actually on my healthy habits, I was getting up, I was praying, I was meditating, I was putting me first. That's when I was putting the good things in my body, and that's when I was noticing the changes in my body.
Ah,
If that helps.
yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. When we invest in ourselves, when we build that relationships, to ourselves, then we're that ripple effect.
Right.
As you said, the fighting with uh, your partner and having all that chaos right within
Mm-hmm.
through the eating really reflects, no pun intended there, really reflects on how we're receiving things also.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so important. I want everybody to hear that there's nothing wrong with you. I want everybody to hear that there's nothing wrong with you. You just learned how to survive, as Sabrina was talking about
Mm-hmm.
with the subconscious. We are programmed to survive. Our brains are amazing at helping us survive all the time. Although, when it is that chronic sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, freeze, that I don't have enough, I lacking, right? Looking at the exterior instead of the interior, that's what keeps us outside of ourselves. That's when we really need to sit down, as you did, Tiffany, and have that conversation with yourself of your health, because our health is our wealth.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge mirror too. What's happening with our health, and that is just a domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So our listeners here, we have Curtis here, Curtis Rivers. He's amazing. He's part of the Hounds of Business as well. So excited to have him here. And also Crystal Phoenix Rising. You came in at the right time as Tiffany was talking about her business. And it's just amazing to know that, we have always a community of support. There's always a support system for us. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go this alone, of shifting our thoughts, shifting how we perceive ourselves. As I've worked with numerous clients and hundreds of people with Reiki and breath work, it's really bringing it back to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and finding that starting point, finding an easy space, as Sabrina said, right? I bring them in very gently. We don't want to re-traumatize anyone here. You know, we want everybody to feel safe and supported. So that way it's easier to be able to look in that mirror, that reflection that we see ourselves, and know that we can change that.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's the first step? Sabrina, what's the first step for somebody who is wanting more in their lives? What would you tell them as you work with clients?
The first step is always looking at the behaviors, the habits, the thought processes that you have. And I know it sounds overwhelming to pay attention to, but it is. It's really recognizing what you're doing during the day and at any given moment. Because, like Tiffany was saying, you're so used to being on autopilot that you don't know what you don't actually know or pick up on throughout the day. So the first step is absolutely self-awareness, making sure that you can recognize what it is that you need when you need it. And that it's both physically and emotionally and spiritually.
Oh, I completely agree about that. The self-awareness is the key. And that is with, mindfulness, just being mindful.
Yes.
Of where you're at, of the thoughts that we're thinking. And then this is when we give ourselves ease and grace too.
Yes. Absolutely. Try not to be hard on yourself because everybody is human. We all make mistakes. And there's no point in holding anything against you because every day we are each growing and shifting and changing. And that's the way it's supposed to be. If we don't make those mistakes and we don't give ourselves grace, we don't learn from them. And that's what mistakes are for. So it's very much a learning and growth process.
Yes, that's what mistakes, and they're not mistakes, they're experiences, aren't they?
Right. Yeah. It's a better way to put it.
Love that.
And what would you say, Tiffany, what would you say to people that you're working with, right? What's the first step?
I'm just gonna follow with Sabrina as well because that's self awareness. Again, what makes you tick? That is everything. And I'm all about energy. I mean, I'm very much about energy and the energy that I keep around me. So I say to everyone, do an energy evaluation around you, and if it does not make you feel good, if it's a friend that doesn't make you feel good, you might have to cut that friend. Even if it's a family member, we love them, but if they don't make us feel good and they're always throwing that shade, I'm going to say, at you, you may have to go ahead and just take a step back and love them from afar. That was the best thing that I could have done for myself. And I see so many of my clients and so many people that I touch once I say, just really look at your energy, look at what you're watching. I don't even watch TV anymore. I can't watch TV anymore. And I love music. So I make sure that I have just great, happy music around me all the time. When I was younger, I used to listen to all the, crazy rap and this and that, and also even lots of heavy metal. And that made me angry. So now I listen to jazz and I listen to sound bowls and just things that really elevate my energy. And that's what I just tell everyone. Make sure that you do that energy evaluation. And if it doesn't make you feel good, get it out. Get it out. Life's too short. Life's too short to not feel good.
Ah, very well said. Yes, I completely agree with you. And we got to think about money too. Money is energy. When they say currency, right? It's a currency. It's meant to flow. When we hold on to it and think that we're limited and we don't have enough, then that's also a block. That's also a shrinking and thinking, oh my gosh, this is the last $100 I have in my bank account. Now, I'm not saying to go out and throw it at the lottery or anything like that. It's more of, wow, let's shift the script. I have $100 left in my bank account. How amazing is that? That is more than I had 2 weeks ago. Or, hey, universe is always talking to you and always showing signs. You find a penny on the ground. That is definitely a God wink there. I'm a firm believer in that too, of how we are so abundant naturally and that we're part of nature. You go outside, walk outside, just be enamored with the trees, with the grass, have that playful openness too, because whatever you're focusing on, right? Just like that energy evaluation, right? Where our attention goes, energy flows. So how is that flowing in your mirror? How is that flowing in your perception of yourself? What do you want more of? And getting excited about that. Yeah. So as we're talking about money as a mirror and our relationships, I'm just curious, ladies, let's be real here. What have you experienced? I know you alluded to it, Tiffany, a little bit about how you changed your eating and you were very aware of those toxic relationships and money, the music that you were listening to, and you decided to cut that out. What other things, what other types of relationship shifts have you noticed as you've been working, for yourself, um,
Gosh, I
being able
honestly,
to look in the mirror and own it? Yeah, I'm going to bring you up,
I love
Tiffany.
it. I love it. Honestly, just the shifts that I have made have really brought so many amazing individuals into my life. I think it's as you kind of, you shift out that old negative, stagnant, energy that's around you, and you open up the floodgates to people and, just better energy that comes around you. And that has really been a game changer for me because I never wanted to, or never thought I would be an editor in chief of a national magazine. It's now international. I never thought I would be writing books and teaching people how to write books. And, I was just like, oh, I'm a personal trainer and I'm a life coach. And I got into rooms and I stopped being scared. I stopped shrinking. And because the people around me were really those were the ones that were kind of telling me to shrink. It's like, oh, why are you doing that? And oh, that's kind of
Oh,
stupid. And you know what I'm saying? So, and you can't, you got to just cut that out. You got to get that away. And as I did that, I started showing up in different rooms. And when you show up in different rooms and you have individuals that want to work with you and they believe in the same, things, and they're walking the same walk with you and they're like-minded individuals, you tend to just, you grow together. You start investing in each other and in your businesses and things that each other's doing, because after a while, like what I've noticed is you kind of help to fill the gaps for each other. I am definitely not the techie person, but guess what? I have a few individuals in my life that are techie, women in my life. Um, and they have helped me to fill the gaps in things like that. I don't know everything about getting people on the other side of their health. I know my journey, I know my education and how I took it in, but there's others out there that have been doing it longer that I can tap into. So it's just really amazing when, you let the ego go, right? Because that's what happens too. Sometimes you don't want to show up in rooms because, it's your ego and you're like, oh, or it's that fear, right? I don't belong there. You belong anywhere that you think you belong. Right? So that's what you have to do. You have to just get uncomfortable or get comfortable being uncomfortable and just start, showing up in places that, with people that you never really thought you'd be around. And you'll see that there's a lot of amazing people that you'll meet and a lot of doors you're going to open.
oh, for sure. And that's building that relationship. And you perfectly described that, Tiffany. It is about our emotional intelligence as we are stepping into more of our power of understanding who we are and not shrinking to other people's or the vibration even, right? Being in that environment and being in a lower vibration we feel heavier, we feel less than. And when we choose to show up in our own authentic self, as you said, then people will, it's like a magnet, they'll come to you. And because, you attract, your vibe attracts your tribe, they say.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what relationships is. And the community of support. I'm telling you, going solo is a no-go. As I learned when I was on the road for 4 years, I loved it. I would not ever take it back. Although I recognized that I was trying so hard and I was pushing so much outward by myself. And then that's when I started to feel depleted. That's when I realized that I was missing a community. And I'm just going to say, Hounds of Business has been amazing for me. This is how I met Sabrina, and this is how I connected to you, Tiffany, through Jeffrey. And I was hoping Jeffrey would be here, but we're sending you good vibes, Jeffrey, wherever you're at. But this is how we connect, right? And it isn't about the money. Money is a byproduct of abundance. It comes from that. And when we're focused so much on the money, we're really looking through the keyhole. We can't see everything that we're abundant about. And so I'm going to bring up Sabrina here. Sabrina, share about the relationship aspect, how that has helped to enhance the abundance and change your reflection, your perception of yourself.
Well, I think what both of you have really been alluding to is it's really about creating safety. That is the core foundation. Because whether we're facing emotional, financial, or physical healing, we can't move into transformation if our nervous system feels threatened. So safety is that starting point. That's where we really can say, oh, you know what? I have this group of people or this person that is so supportive of me, and I feel really safe. Like I can truly be me. And when you can truly be me, well, that's when you can start to dig deep into some of those questions. So it's just alluding to that, creating a foundation where you're safe.
I agree 100%. Yeah, that really works with the subconscious. We have neurosensory around us that we can literally, science has shown, we can feel like 2 feet out from us. And when we feel safe, when we walk into an environment, if I were to walk into the room with both of you, right away, my heart would be open, right? I'd want to run up and do a group hug,
Right.
And then we walk into other areas and we might feel that we want to shrink, that we might want to put on some armor to protect ourselves. Although when we find that safety within ourselves first, then we don't feel that we need to shrink. As Tiffany was talking about before, we can be comfortable in our own skin. We can build those relationships and understand that our perceptions is what's going to mirror back to us. So I always remember a quote that I read somewhere, and it said, we see things as we are. We don't see them as we see things as we are, not as they are.
Yeah.
So think about that. We see things as we are, not as what they truly are. So if we're in a bad mood, if we're thinking that we don't have enough, when an opportunity arises, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, you're going
Just
to be
being honest here. If we're shrunk and we're thinking everything's horrible, then that won't come for us. We won't be in that space to receive it. And speaking of Dr. Jeffrey, here he is. Yay! Jeffrey made it. Speaking of abundance, my goodness, this gentleman, if anybody's curious about AI and about metaverse and other ways to invest, Jeffrey is the guy to connect with. He is amazing. Yes. And Tiffany, you've had the pleasure of working with Jeffrey too, haven't
Yes,
you?
yes. Jeffrey actually was he has been on the cover of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine for 4 years now. So I've watched
Oh,
Jeffrey grow, and I absolutely adore him. And yes, just amazing. Just watching his journey, and again, like you mentioned, if you are interested in really tapping into some of the new technology when it comes to the blockchain, and how to gain some wealth in a more of a non-traditional way, and a little more unconventional, but very, very good. Tap in with Jeffrey, because he's definitely going to point you in the right direction with that. So
oh,
absolutely.
you're making
You're
Jeffrey
making him blush.
blush here. So, what about those relationships, Tiffany? I just want to go back to that. What if somebody's in a situation to where they feel that they're between a rock and a hard place, and how is this ever going to change for me? What advice do you have for them? Whether it is a personal, relationship, whether it's business relationship, what advice do you have?
Honestly, I mean, if someone is out there and they're just looking for somewhere to get some answers, or just to feel that safe space, I've created a safe space. When I was laid off from my job during COVID, I created a space because I needed this space. It's called the Girl Powerhouse Network, and the Girl Powerhouse Network has over 500 women worldwide. We meet once a week to celebrate wins, personal and professional, talk about challenges, personal, professional. There's so many women in this group in all different walks of life and different areas of their businesses. Once you get a few people in the room, you can answer pretty much any question that comes up. So I recommend, for if the Girl Powerhouse Network is not a space for you, there is a space for you out there. So do your research on some of these networking groups, because they can be game changers. But I'm telling you, if you want a safe space, ladies, definitely connect with me. Men, sorry guys, I can refer you over to some groups through the Own It publishing and magazine and publishing platform. We have some amazing men in there that have some great networks as well. Dr. Jeffrey can also tap in as well. That's what I got with that. Is just find yourself a tribe that can help you to thrive.
Oh, definitely. And this is where we amplify. This is how we have these amazing connections and co-creating, right? As we're doing right here. I mean, this conversation wouldn't happen without you, Tiffany, and Sabrina, and myself, and Dr. Jeffrey coming in here, and Curtis and Crystal and Lisa and the other viewers, right? This is how we connect. This is how we learn more about ourselves. We are meant to evolve throughout our whole entire life. And evolution isn't just obtaining certificates or obtaining that job. It's a continuous journey. I like to say that we're just getting ready to get ready to get ready for the next thing. Yeah. So Sabrina, as we're talking about getting ready for those shifts, what tip do you have for our listeners and viewers?
Well, of course, I'm going to repeat that finding that safe space is going to be critical, because from a mindset and hypnotherapy standpoint, the first question I usually ask my clients is, what is the earliest memory you have of, money making you feel unsafe? Because that memory really holds the key to the current pattern that they've been carrying throughout life. So it's helping them to begin to bring awareness to what's happening without judgment. We don't want any kind of judgment getting in the way. your brain has to feel safe and secure. So I recommend some micro actions that signal to your subconscious that it's safe. So when it comes to money, just repeating affirmations to yourself, I am safe to receive. And then
Oops. Are you there, Sabrina? So we need to pause and focus on that. I am safe to receive. I'm serious. If she froze on that, that's a meaning right there. I'm going to actually put that in a banner while we're waiting for her to come back.
I love that. I am
confidence to
yeah,
really...
you just froze when you said I'm safe to receive.
Oh.
So if you can, and that's okay, because I made an intention to have everybody pause to recognize that.
Oh, well, thank you. So, yeah, it's just that micro action that signals your subconscious, I am safe to receive. And it doesn't have to be an affirmation in that way. It could be something as simple as taking $5 and putting it in a jar that's labeled abundance. So now you have an abundance fund that you can look at and feel good about. Anywhere that you can see and be grateful for the things that you have in your life, so that you're safe and secure in knowing that abundance is coming, or that you're creating it. That's what's going to be a big one with money. But I'd also say standing in front of the mirror and looking at yourself and saying, I'm enough without earning one more cent. I'm enough to build that safety, security, and confidence.
That is amazing. It's so true, because a lot of people feel that they have to hustle. Yeah. They have to hustle, as Tiffany talked about, the hamster wheel. You know, being on that hamster wheel and hustling in order to make something happen. Yeah. And really it's about us being just aware that we are enough just as we are, as you said, Sabrina. It's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we are going to wrap this up. Before we go, ladies, what is it that you want to leave our viewers and listeners with? What is it that you want a takeaway message for them?
Well, I guess one big one is the hard truth is, if your body doesn't believe that you're safe to receive, no amount of affirmations or no amount of affirmations will stick. And that's because 95% of your behaviors are subconscious. So start to dig in and really find that safety, that confidence, that security. Leave the judgment behind.
Tiffany.
Did I freeze again?
I love that. Leave the judgment. I love that. I love that. And, you know, just tap into that unconditional love for yourself and just know that you deserve everything and anything that you want in life.
Exactly. We deserve so much more than what our minds tell us. And by working with somebody like Sabrina to help unpack the subconscious beliefs, working with Tiffany as the motivator, as the, let's get it done, let's unpack these things and see where this takes you. You both are just incredible powerhouse ladies, and I am so grateful to have you both here. And also with me, you can connect with me about breath work, about the biodynamic breath work and trauma release system, because that is all about connecting back to our bodies. You know, our bodies are so important, and we forget that it is such a beautiful resource and a valuable tool to be able to release the traumas, to be able to release the tensions, and find more cohesiveness in our lives. And that does start, as Sabrina so perfectly said, with the safety. You know, we need to feel safe so that way we can receive more. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I so appreciate you tuning in and being with us today. And please reach out. Please reach out to Sabrina. You can connect with her on LinkedIn. And then Tiffany, she's just like, hey, text me. She doesn't mess around. She's putting her phone number right up there. And then also you can connect with Tiffany through LinkedIn as well, and also myself. Please leave comments when you have listened to this show or watched it on YouTube. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what works. We want to hear questions too, because this is what we're all about, right? When we come together and we build this community of support, we're really leveling each other up. We're wanting to know, or wanting you to know, that you're worth so much more than you realize. There's so much to us. So thank you all. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate you and everyone who showed up. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Curtis and Crystal and Lisa and all the others that are here with us today. I really appreciate you. And we will see you next time. Be well. Let's see if I can get my outro going on here. Oh, StreamYard, I love you right now. StreamYard is amazing. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, StreamYard.
Right.
You're just really making me feel so grateful that I have this amazing technology to have this happen. Yes. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Oh. It's still not cooperating with me. Just kidding. We're just seeing. I know you guys don't want us to leave. There's somebody still watching, somebody hopeful for